Welcome, friends. My name is Avinash Gorakshekar, and I welcome all of you to another interesting episode of Konexio HighFlyers. Friends, in these episodes, as all of you are aware, we cover emerging companies from emerging sectors and make it a point to talk to the promoters and the top managements of such companies. And in this process, we get a lot of valuable information, about the company's business model, the promoters' growth journey, their future growth plans, and which helps all the investors in their investing process. And friends, today we have got another interesting company for all of you, which is going to hit the capital market very soon. The company's name is Deccan Trascon Leasing Limited, and we have the privilege of having the entire promoter and top management team with us today. We have Mr. Jaidev Menon, who's the chairman and promoter of the company. Jaidevji, Jaidevji, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. We also have Mr. Rajeev Menon, who's the CEO of the company, and we also have Mr. Samir Sumit Kothari, beg your pardon, Sumit Kothari, who is the CEO of the company. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show, and thank you very much for sparing your valuable time with us today. I'm pretty sure that in this small interaction today, we'll be able to understand your company's operations in a much better manner. So, first question which I would like the management team to address is if we can be told what is the company's business model about, and what is the positioning of the company in the domestic market, and if you can also share with us what is the business journey, whether this company is a first generation effort or whether it has actually been the second generation has taken over and now is running the company. So a small synopsis on how this business journey started, if you could please share your thoughts.
Yeah. So we primarily are a logistic company, and we specialize in transportation of liquid logistics using specialized containers, which are called isotype containers. So we provide end-to-end solutions, custom-made solutions to the customers all across the world. So in terms of that's our primary business model. In terms of how our business journey started, I'll start from 2015 when we first started. This company was about having 30 tank containers, which was operating within the Asian region. From there, we have grown to a total fleet size of about 3,300 containers, which also includes a small portion of box containers. We now operate to about 50 countries. We also lease containers both within India and to some of the customers outside of India. We also move both dry as well as liquid cargo from Asia to America, South America, Europe, across. So that's the primary, and that's the growth story.
I think fine, very nicely articulated, sir. Second question which I want to ask you is that if you could tell us now, since you said you got about 3,300 containers now as on date, if you could tell us what are the various logistics services which the company offers to its customers in a very simple way. If you could tell what are the broader product basket of services which you offer, please, if you could tell us.
The first thing for us is to carry the product from port to port, and most of the products that we carry are chemicals which can be hazardous in nature. And when I say hazardous in nature, they could be flammable cargo, they could be poisonous cargo, and they could be what we call marine pollutants. So these are some of the kind of products that we carry, and our containers are designed to carry such kind of cargo safely, with a lot of safety measures put into the kind of tank. There are protocols that we need to follow in terms of ensuring that it is carried from point A to point B in a safe and secure manner. We also give some additional supply chain solutions as and when required. When there are certain customers who require a little more than, say, just shipment from a port to another port in a country, Some of them require solutions like door delivery, door pickup, and our product being liquid, it is also kind of susceptible to the weather conditions, uh, especially if it goes to cold countries. Some of the products can freeze, then it cannot be discharged using a pump. So we provide some heating solutions. We heat the container and then bring it to a liquid state, take it to the consignee's plant, and then have it unloaded. Some customers require, you know, just-in-time kind of delivery solutions. So there we provide where the containers can be stored. So we do that to a client in the US, and where we store a certain amount of inventory for them, and the consignee can call and then ask for delivery. It's there in the next couple of hours.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Sir, now tell me one thing in terms of the vertical breakup for your top line for say FY24. If you could tell us, how much actually comes from purely giving out containers, what revenue comes from the business by, leasing out containers to customers. And secondly, when you say logistics services, how much percentage of the top line, comes from this kind of activity, which I believe is a kind of a end-to-end, kind of a value-added activity which you do. So a broad breakup, if you could please share with us.
Yeah, a large part, Rajeev can take that. A large part of the revenue still comes from doing these solutions for customers, which is roughly what 90-95% comes from there. The remaining comes from just pure play leasing services that we offer.
And sir, if you could tell us what is the total customer base of our company, since we are a very old player, typically very broadly, how many customers do we have as on date? And typically, what is the kind of level of concentration do we have? Do we have, the top 10 customers driving most of our business, or is it a well diversified customer base for us?
We have, as on date, we probably have more than 5,000 customers across the globe.
Okay.
If you take it, if you ask about concentration of business, I think the top 10 customers, we don't, I don't know how much the number is, maybe 50, I don't know, less than 50% of our customers, of our revenue come from our top few customers.
Okay, fine. So understood. Next question is, sir, if you could tell us, from which sector, like, sir was telling us that we handle poisonous chemicals, hazardous chemicals, a lot of chemicals, and liquids which we handle. Sir, is our customers largely driven by the chemical sector, or there are some other sectors also which take help of our logistics services?
Yeah, so like Jaidev mentioned, our primary core set of services is around liquid logistics. And as we have mentioned in the prospectus, we have recently gone into doing solids and dry transportation as well. So a large part still remains liquid, and liquid means it will be chemicals, it will be petrochemical, it will be pharmaceutical. That's typically the client base or the shipper base. Now that we've started venturing into the dry container business, the dry goods transportation as well, we start seeing agricultural products, so food industry, and pretty much any other generic manufacturing are all now potential customer base. So that's helped us expand into sectors that we were not earlier present in.
Okay, okay, understood. Now, one more thing which I wanted to understand is that, for our company, what is the size of the opportunity in the next, say, 3 to 5 years? Like, India is a growing economy now, international trade is also increasing. Typically when economies do well, transit of goods and services happens more frequently and more aggressively. In our business, sir, what is the opportunity for growth available for us over the next, say, 3 to 5 years? If you can just share some thoughts on the market size, on the kind of strategy the company is working upon, which can help us, understand how the company will capitalize on this growth in the market so that it helps us also to grow in the next, say, 2 to 3 years.
I think Now, the Indian government is there's been a lot of focus of late of logistic infrastructure within India, and there's also Make in India thing going on, where a lot of manufacturing is shifting into India. So that gives us a lot of with manufacturing opportunities and logistics obviously go up. So it includes the volume of products that come into India imported from other countries go up, and the export base also goes up simultaneously, increased manufacturing happening. So that gives a great opportunity for players like us to increase our volumes from whatever we are doing currently in and out of India. Secondly, there is also a lot of focus on domestic infrastructure in terms of development of small ports across the Indian shoreline, which helps in having uh, cargo moved by uh, ships across within India, and there is rail infrastructure also come up a lot with dedicated freight corridor coming up between Mumbai and the north. So these all give ample opportunities for using containers like ours into moving product domestically. There is a lot of, if I talk about liquid cargo, India imports huge volumes in break bulk ships, which typically come in 25,000 tons, 50,000 tons, and these are discharged into shore ports in Kandla, in Visakhapatnam, and Chennai. These products need to move up from the shore tank into, internal, inter-country factories and locations. Now, traditionally, this cargo moves by road in road trucks. Now, with the push on multimodal transportation, we are now seeing a lot of movement of such chemicals going by rail from a port to a certain ICD in the north, and then from there doing the last mile delivery by truck. This helps us in evacuate larger volumes, in one particular move than using these small trucks. So this is a very, very big opportunity coming up, especially for players like us who are specializing in liquid logistics.
Okay. I think nice to hear that, sir. Jaidev now one question which I wanted to understand is that, what is the current demand scenario which you are getting from the ground from your customers as of now? Like we have already, entered FY25, we are in the month of September. So basically, if you could just give us some flavor without, of course, putting a number, obviously for compliance reasons, that what is the kind of demand trend expected over the next, say, 12 to 15 months, that is for this financial year, and roughly what is the order book as on date with us?
Yeah, so we operate from an order book standpoint. Let me address that first, and then it will flow. Most of our orders are short-term contracts that we have with the customers. There are some which are 1 year, 3 year, kind of anywhere from 3 months to a year kind of leasing contract. But like I said earlier, those are a small part of our business. And therefore, the rest of the business is mostly short term. We also respond to a lot of tenders, which mean for larger companies, we have some form of contract, but the order book typically happens on a very short term basis. So there is not a whole lot of orders for the next year that we can talk about today.
Okay.
Right. So that takes care of the order book question. But from a demand standpoint, yes. So it's while we saw some bottoming out of the rates, and our business obviously is very closely intertwined with shipping rates and the geopolitical situation outside, etc., which also impacts our business. The over the last 3 months or last 6 months, maybe we've seen a slow pickup. So we hope that that trend continues till the end of this year at least. So that's our read as of now.
Okay. Understood. Rajeev, now the next question to you is that in each of our product categories, our service categories, typically as Jaidev was saying, our contracts are typically short term in nature. How is the pricing decided? It depends on the cargo, the quantity you're shipping, the distance you are taking. So what finally decides the pricing? Is it customized for every customer, or do you have a standard plan, for specific product categories? If you could please tell us.
Yeah, so the pricing obviously has 2, 3 important factors. One is where is it going from, and the source and the destination. Where is it being loaded from, and where is it getting discharged? That's number one. Two is the scope of services, right? Am I picking it up from the door, like Jaidev said, and dropping it at the door, or am I just picking it up the port and dropping it off at the port? So, am I doing customs clearance? Are we doing, like he said, are there other special services like heating or refrigeration that's involved? So, all that, the scope then defines, the scope of services defines the price, what all you're doing. The other things that determine it is, like I said, the freight market, what the freight rates are like, the shipping lines, what are the shipping lines charging us today? That's number one. That's one. The other aspect that we also look at is from optimizing our fleet and the way it's being utilized. Is this going to another area where I actually want more tanks? And then if it goes there, from there will I make more money? So all those become a very complex, it's a fairly complex method of determining which is the most optimum route that I will take. So I can take something from India to Dubai to South America back to Malaysia. Does that work better for me? Or so that goes into our pricing algorithm, and that determines the pricing for us.
Right. I think very nicely articulated, sir. Sir, now tell me one thing in terms of the competitive landscape in our industry. Like, competition is obviously there in every industry. Now, in terms of competitive landscape, how fierce is the competition? Or do you have a set of customers who have been with you for a very long time? They like your services. They like the way you execute, the contracts. So, first of all, on the competitive intensity, that is point number one. And the second question which I want to ask is basically, in what way are we different? Forget about the financial related questions. I am asking, what are the qualitative aspects which define our company? Like, how do you add more value to the customer? Is it your service, your execution? Why does the customer come to us frequently and does business with us? What is it that we do special in the same industry as compared to others? So if you could highlight 2, 3 qualitative points for us.
I'll start with the first part of the question. So there are not a whole lot of listed players that we can compare apple to apple. Especially given that our core is mostly liquid logistics. But there are a couple, I think, SJ Logistics, Lancer, etc., who are in the same space and are listed. But if you look at it from the scope which we operate in, we are the second largest Indian ISO tank operator today. Goodrich is the other one that's there, that's slightly larger than us. But that's our position from an Indian market standpoint. Sorry, what was the other question? That was on why do customers? So yeah, so we have a lot of customers who have stayed with us for a very long time. We have more than, I think, at least in India, we'd have probably more than 100 customers who we've been serving for quite a while. Our churn on that front is very small. We don't lose as many customers, and the reasons for us to remain on the top qualitatively, like you said, is threefold. And this also explains why there's not as much, from a competition standpoint. Domestically, there's not a whole lot of players. Like one, is our network that we have across the globe. So irrespective of where you want to ship to, we probably, 99% of the time, we'll probably have a partner network in that country, and we'll be able to take care of your needs at the other end also. It's not just about picking it up from the customer here, but it's also servicing their customer at the other end, at the port of discharge. So the consignee at that end also needs to be serviced. So that's something that we are able to do. And that's taken us, about 5-10 years for us to get to this point where we are serving customers in more than 50 countries. Two, we know our products. I mean, we know the products that the customers make. We know how it has to be carried. What are the technical requirements of the tanks? What are the technical requirements of the other means of transportation that we have? How it needs to be discharged, how it needs to be loaded. So our knowledge on that front is very, very high because of the team that we have. And that is one of the reasons why customers come to us. Third and most important, Jaidev already mentioned that, is our ability to tailor make a solution for your specific requirement. Now, you mentioned the heating example. There are several other examples where we've said we can do things that, cater to a very specific requirement that this customer has. So that's another reason why customers come to us. I think if I were to name the top three.
No, I think very nicely articulated, sir. Rajeev ji, now on the financials, I was just seeing that our profitability in FY24 has improved quite well. Our PAT was 11.81 crores. Earlier it was 8.56 crores, but we have seen a small dip in the top line. The top line was 152 crores compared to 180 crores. So just wanted to understand, was there any one-off event that the revenue came down, but the profitability improved? Any specific reasons for this, drop in top line, but increase in profits?
Yeah, so I will explain it. In late 2022, post-COVID, what happened was shipping rate came to start declining. So it made a bottom around in February 24. So the rate has dropped drastically. In spite of our increase in volume, we were able to achieve the number. But in terms of core number, it will show a decline. But in terms of volume, we had a good growth.
Okay. So that was the reason we saw a drop in top line in value terms, but profitability improved. Okay.
Yeah, so profitability increase. There was another reason apart from that increase in volume. We were like earlier explained, we are leasing. We have leasing services also. So the contribution from leasing services had added to the bottom line, which helped us to increase our PAT margin compared to earlier year.
Okay. Fine, understood. Sumit, now just one more question on the overall outlook for the profitability margins. As our volume go up, hopefully, in the current year, we may see an increase in the volume. I mean, is the volume a very big kind of driver for improvement in your operating margins? Does it work like that in our industry? If you could please explain.
Yeah, so we have a lot of tank on lease also, so which we take from different leasing company over the world. So that has a fixed cost associated with that. So if we utilize them more in terms of volume, overall profitability will increase. So yeah, definitely, when we start off increasing our volume, it will directly add a major contribution in the bottom line. But seeing the scenario that we need to expand in different locations, we will try to achieve the same growth, same margin level which we have achieved earlier. We will try to achieve those in spite of being expanding in different locations and a good volume growth.
Okay, understood. Okay, now, Sumit, the most important question is, if you could please share with us the company's IPO plans. The company is going to go public. How much money is the company planning to raise from the capital markets, and what is this? What is the broad objective of the offering? Like, where will the money be used by the company?
So at the higher price band, the IPO size is around 65 CR. Out of that, there is an OFS of up to 5 lakhs a year. So we will be using majorly broadly in adding fleet. So we will be using an amount of around 27.7 CR toward addition of tank containers, which will increase our current own tank container from 330 to 580 tank container. So we'll be adding around 250 tank container. The second thing is the major amount where it goes is towards working capital. So as we will keep on adding the customer, number of customer will be added, plus on the revenue front, we will require working capital. So an amount of around 11.5 CR is allocated against working capital.
Okay. Basically, our asset expansion and for working capital, largely, the fundraising is being understood. Now, Sumit, you mentioned about working capital. If you could tell us what is the normal working capital cycle in our business, both for domestic customers and export customers, customers which usually export abroad or, within, domestic customers, as Mr. Rajeev was saying, we got about 100 odd customers who have stuck with us with us for a long time. So working capital, typically, what is the cycle, right? From the time you get the order, you execute it, then you get the money from the customer. Do you get some advance from the customer, or is it paid after the complete transaction is complete?
Yeah, so the payment terms are different with different type of customer, but generally there is no advance type of thing in our segment. Yeah, it can be against BL, and like we are dealing with almost all top chemical industries, so we are extending credit to them. So from the tank pickup date, if we see like on the tank pickup date, we need pickup date from the factory of the customer. We need to book slot for the customer in advance. So our cost payment part we need to book in advance, but generally it takes almost 90 to 95 days in terms of realization of receivables.
Okay.
So our current working cycle is coming around 90 days, and although we are working on it to reduce it at lower level, we may see a lower number in coming future.
Okay. Understood. So, Vijay, now just to understand, without putting a number again, last year we saw, because you said shipping rates came down, the top line was down, but profitability was good. Can we expect that in the current year, FY25, can we expect that this top line growth will again get into positive territory? Even without giving a number, if you could tell us, broadly, that can we expect the top line to get into positive trajectory? Because that is what the market would also like to see from, the company management, the company, because that is a very important variable, when companies invest in, IPOs. So this year, that is FY25, we have already now completed 6 months. We are now in September. So according to you, this year, will we have a positive trajectory in the top line growth?
Yeah, definitely with this infusion of fund in purchase of tanks and a portion toward working capital and addition of new customer, we will definitely end up with positive growth territory.
Okay. Right, understood. Nice to hear. Last question, Jaidev ji, is addressed to you. I think we talk to this to every promoter. Sir, we have managed to stay afloat in this business very well, profitable, venture from our side. We have seen one of the worst, cases like COVID. We have all seen how COVID impacted sectors and companies. Now, tell me one thing: what is the most important business risk in our business? Like, what is the most important risk which you constantly monitor to ensure that our operations remain completely profitable, smooth? So, in your own assessment, which are the key risks which are very important in this business, and how have you managed this risk up till now?
See, risk is mostly geopolitical. I mean, it can be war in a certain region. We've seen that recently with the blockage of the Red Sea, which has made a lot of ships go around South Africa from that going to Europe from Asia, which has increased both costs and transit times and also supply chain costs. And of course, things like COVID, which is hopefully once in a century kind of a thing, will certainly affect. Other than that, it's all very normal and short. So you may have, you may see a very, very short-term factor happening because of some kind of a recession happening in one part of the world. But we operate in such a large hemisphere that it's we are quite flexible to change from a zone A to a zone B. So
Okay.
that kind of helps us manage that. But yeah, the biggest will be a geopolitical risk.
Okay. Understood. So basically, apart from the geopolitical risk, Jaidev ji, the business is growing and thriving and is expected to have a very strong runway. So I think this is definitely good news to hear. I mean, I hope that in future also the company grows exponentially and rewards both the investors as well as the company in itself. So sir, it was a pleasure talking to all of you, Jaidev ji, Sumit ji, and Rajiv ji. So thank you very much, and my best wishes to you, your entire management team, and best wishes for your forthcoming public issue also. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Avinash.
you, Avinash.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.